Here I am in the backyard at the pear tree. The pears are ready to pick. Here's some of them. So I'm going to pick these pears and we're going to make pear preserves and pear syrup. Hello everyone, let me tell you what I've got going on here today. I am making pear preserves and a couple of other things too. Going to make some pear syrup, and I'm going to try making some homemade pear juice. I've never done that before. In fact, I've never heard of anybody doing it before, but I'm going to try it. Let's turn around here to the stove. Now here's my pears right here. I've already peeled them and cubed them up and put them in the pot, and I've got sugar on them. You can see a little bit of the sugar maybe right there. Let's see if I can get you just a little bit closer where you can see. Yeah, and see all of this sugar is dissolving. We're going to have a lot of juice there, so the leftover juice is going to be my pear syrup. I had a lady make a comment last year on my pear preserve video that the leftover juice, that you can can that for pear syrup. I had never heard that, so I'm going to do it this year. And back over here in the back, I've got my jars sanitizing right there, and then right back over in here, you can't quite see, right here I've got my lids also sanitizing. And I just want to walk you through what I have done up until this point in time to get to where I'm at in this process. So I picked my pears. Here's one right here. And I was just going to show you how I peeled it and how I cubed it and everything like that. So let's turn around here to a little bowl. Okay, let's see, here we go. So I don't have anything to put my peelings on. Hang on just a minute. I'll put them on here. All right, so I just take this pear and cut the top off and cut the bottom off. This is the easiest way that I have found to peel these pears and to actually cut the fruit off of the core. Just what I'm going to show you here. Okay, and then I just take my knife and I just peel round and round, trying to make sure that you can see this in the video. So I'm trying to watch the video and peel this thing at the same time. Now this is sand pears. This is not the Bartlett pears like you would get in the store. I've got a sand pear tree out in my backyard. And sand pears, boy, look at that long thing there. And sand pears, when they are ripe, they're still hard. They don't get soft like a Bartlett pear does. Okay, and so they're kind of difficult to deal with because they're so hard. Now, what I do now is, instead of trying to quarter this and cut the core out of the middle, I just go around the side and I cut the pear, I cut the pieces of pear off, see, like that. Let me turn this back around where maybe you'll be able to see better. So I just go around the core and just cut the pieces of pear off, like that. I'll probably eat this because I've already got my pears that I'm going to be making preserves with in the pot. Okay, now you have just a core left right here. Now look right over here. We'll stick that core right in here with all of the other cores. This is water with a little bit of lemon juice in it. And I actually, these pieces of pears that I cut off the core, I also had a big bowl like that with water and lemon juice in it, and you drop those pears down in that lemon water and it will help your pears not to turn brown. So that's what I'm doing right over here with these cores, because I'm going to use those cores. I'm going to put them, this is just an experiment. I've never done it before. I'm going to put them in quart jars, put sugar in there, put boiling water in there, and I'm going to give them a water bath, let them set for 2 or 3 months, and see if it will make pear juice for me. So I think that's kind of brought us up to speed to where we're at now. And I've got to let these pears just cook down until they're tender. And once they get tender, then I will be able to put them in the jars and give them a water bath, and they'll be done. Okay, our pears are cooking down. They're almost ready. Just want to cook them until they're good and tender, and the juice kind of thickens up a little bit. And then they'll be ready to put in the jars. Okay, I'm putting the pear preserves in the jars, and I'm almost finished. I'm going to turn around here and show you how I'm doing this. I've got all of these jars over here already, and I've got my little funnel here. Y'all see this little funnel? This was my Granny Cochran's funnel. It's a metal funnel. And if you go to the store now and try to buy a funnel, it's not going to be metal, it'll be plastic. So this is one of my keepsakes from my grandmother. All right. I'm just dipping the pears, putting them over in there. I'm having to use my slotted spoon now because there's not that many pears left in the pot. So I'm using my slotted spoon to dip some pears up in there. Then I'll use this spoon to dip some juice over in to the jar. You want to fill the jar up to about 1/4 inch from the top, or 1/2 inch from the top. All right, we've got that filled up. And you can take a wet paper towel or a damp rag and wipe the edges of the jar to make sure you get any juice off of it that might have gotten on the rim. And let's put a lid on it. Put a ring on it. All right. And it's hot, so I'm going to hold the ring. That's not hot right here. The ring's not, but the jar is. So I'm going to hold the jar with a towel and screw that on tight. All right, as soon as I get this done, I'm going to put it in a water bath. I'll show it to you once I get it in a water bath. I've got all the pear preserves in the jars. Let me turn this around here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm putting them in a water bath now. Picking them up with these tongs, sticking them right over here in this pot where I've got some water warming up. And as soon as the water comes to a boil, I will let these pear preserves cook for 10 minutes. And then we'll take them out, set them on the cabinet, and we'll wait to hear them start popping to know that they have sealed. Okay, I've got one more that needs to go in here. All right, here we go. We're going to let them process for 10 minutes. All right, the pear preserves have processed for 10 minutes. Now we're going to get them out of there. Just going to set them over here on the counter on this towel. Got this towel on the counter just because these jars are hot. Got water that'll be draining off of them. And we're going to set them right here. We'll line them up. We need to let them set overnight. And in the morning we'll check and see if they have sealed. And if so, we are good to go. And we'll start hearing the lids start popping here in a little bit. Hopefully the video will be on when some of them pop and y'all can hear them pop. That'll be great. Okay, look in there. Ain't that pretty? That's our pear preserves. We've got 11 half pints, and that was just a little over a 5-gallon bucket of pears that I peeled and cut up, that I prepped. Just a little more than a half of a 5-gallon bucket. And I was ready. I picked the whole bucket, but I was ready to quit. Those pears they're real hard and difficult to peel and cut up and everything. So I'm happy with 11 half pints. That's great. And I've got these pear preserves. I've made strawberry jam. I'm making also pear syrup, and I'm making some pear juice, and I've got some blackberry jam I'm going to make. And then I give this stuff away for Christmas, and then just sometimes I take some to the mission in Citronelle, stuff like that. Okay, so I'm working on my little experiment, and that is I'm taking the pear cores and I'm putting them in these quart jars. I'm going to add some sugar and just a little squirt of lemon juice, and then I'm going to fill these jars up with distilled water, boiling distilled water, and then I'm going to give them a water bath. And I'm going to let these sit for 2 or 3 months and see if it will make a nice pear juice, a nice pear juice that I can drink. So this is my experiment. I'll let y'all watch. I've got a little 1/8 cup measurer here. I'm just going to put 1/8 cup of sugar in each one of these jars. I've got 5 quart jars. I've got the water on the stove boiling so I can give these a water bath. Okay, let me give them all just a little squirt of lemon juice, just so they have a little extra acid here. All right, got that. Now what I need to do is add my boiling distilled water. So here we go. Fill it up to within about 1/4 to 1/2 inch from the top of the jar. Now what I'll do after 2 or 3 months, I'll pull one of these jars out and open it up, and I will strain the juice off and throw the pear cores away, and we'll see what the juice tastes like. I'm also going to do this with the wild muscadine grapes when they get ready, to make some wild muscadine grape juice. Okay, see if they all look okay. That looks good. Now, kind of wipe the lids off, or the jars off. Put a lid on them and then put a ring on them. I've got a water bath over there ready for them to go in. Getting lids out of this little pot back here where I have sterilized them. Put them on all of the jars. Okay, let's put rings on. And these are wide mouth jars, which made it much easier to get the pear cores in the jars. Just tighten that lid down finger tight. Okay, I'll show them to you once I get them in the water bath. I'm putting the last jar in a big pot here. You want to make sure that you've got about 2 inches of water covering the top of the jars. I'm going to let that process for 10 minutes, and then we'll be ready to pull it out and set it on the table and let it cool down. Okay, we're pulling the quart jars out of the water bath. Set them right over there. And this is hopefully going to be our pear juice. Like I said, this is an experiment. I've never done this before. Never heard anybody doing it, so I'm just trying it out. Looks good. There's our pears, pear cores in there. So I've got 5 quarts. Once it cools down and seals, I will put these jars in a dark, cool space so that they'll keep well. And like I said, in a couple of months, I'll open one up and we'll see what we got. Okay, I have the leftover liquid off of the pear preserves, and like I said, that is our pear syrup, and I'm fixing to put it in jars here. I've got some in my little measuring cup here, and I've got my little funnel on top of a 1/2 pint jar here, and I'm going to put a strainer on top of this funnel because there's some little bits of pear still in this syrup, and I want to strain that out. I'll pour it through the strainer and through the funnel into the jar. Let's see how it looks. I've got it full enough. Let me put a little bit more in there. A little bit more. All right, got that. Now, you want to wipe the jar off good. Get any liquid off of the top of the jar and the sides here where the lid is going to screw on, or the ring's going to screw on. Okay, I've got that wiped down good. Now let me get a lid, put it on here. Get a ring and put it on here. Okay, let me get my towel so I don't burn myself, and see, I'll just tighten it down like that. Okay, and this is our pear syrup. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to go ahead and jar up the rest of it, and then I will put it in a water bath, and then we'll set it out on the towel with the rest of the stuff I've got. All right, I'm putting my pear syrup in the water bath. I ended up with 6 1/2 pints of pear syrup. All right, we're going to let that, once it comes to a boil, I'm going to let it boil for 10 minutes, and then we'll pull it out. Okay, we're about through. I'm getting the pear syrup out of the pot. All right, here's what I've got done. I've already heard some of the jars sealing, So that's great. And here's what we got around over here. This is our pear preserves. I've got 11.5 pints. This is our pear juice. I've got 5 quarts. And then here is our pear syrup. And I've got 6 half pints of that. So this has been a lot of fun. And I'm glad that y'all just came along with me in the kitchen. And I hope maybe that this will be beneficial to y'all in your cooking in the future.